The Occupy Honolulu protesters, who spent more than a month camped out at Thomas Square, spent the weekend on the move. Joining us now from civilbeat.com is assistant editor Sarah Lynch. She joins us live now via Skype with details of that story. Good morning, Sarah.
Good morning. Great to be here.
Well, Sarah, the protesters took their message to Waikiki this weekend. Why didn't you tell us about that?
They did. So about 20 protesters started out and walked down Kalakaua Avenue, and they went to the Hyatt because they felt that the Hyatt was the best representation of 1% ownership and supposedly had a bad reputation of dealing with its workers. But what the protest really showed, actually, was that it was very difficult for them to get more than 20 people to show up.
Yeah, I can see your video, and they're certainly loud, but not a very big group of them. And all across the nation, we're seeing these Occupy protests starting to fizzle out. Is that what's happening here in the islands?
That does seem to be what's happening. I mean, the group has tried a lot of different things in the last couple of weeks. They crashed the Honolulu City Lights Parade, and in this case, they actually went into the Hyatt, into the lobby, which is private property, so they were kicked out pretty quickly. But it's just a reflection of them trying to do as much as they can to be heard, and it's becoming harder for them.
What about
yeah, go ahead.
Sarah, what about that property sidewalk ban that the Honolulu Mayor Peter Carlisle just passed? Is that going to impact the Occupy protest on Thomas Square?
That was, yeah, I was about to mention that. And basically, it's really uncertain right now how that's going to affect them. But that property ban does prevent their encampment from being there for more than 24 hours at a time. Whether they'll be able to stay there over the duration of the next couple of weeks remains to be seen.
And let's talk about President Obama's vacation home, that big, fabulous home in Kailua. Is he going to be staying there this year if he actually does come to the islands for vacation?
Well, he is going to be coming, we hope. As you know, he might be stuck in Washington doing that payroll tax with Congress. But our news says that he's not going to be staying at the so-called Winter White House, this place that he stayed for the last 2 to 3 years. It's a $6.4 million home. Let me run through the stats here. It's pretty impressive. 7,000 square feet, 5 bedrooms, 5.5 baths. It's beachside with a pool. But the owner got into trouble last year for renting it for a short term when he doesn't, in fact, have a permit. And he's told us this year that he's not renting to the Obamas.
Well, maybe they could rent to us if we could actually afford it. Sarah Lynn from Civil Beat, thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you guys a little later.
My pleasure.
Well, you can find the complete story that we just discussed on civilbeat.com. And stick around, we've got more news ahead.